Hello. Yep. Hello.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you? William Gibson.
Gibson. Okay. One
Yes,
second. I'm
ma'am.
going to contact your parole officer to get her on the phone for the hearing.
Yes, ma'am. Miss Schaeffer.
Good morning, Officer Schaeffer. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
We have Mr. Gibson here in the chair, so I'm about to get started.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. My name is Officer Saunders. I'm a hearing examiner for the Board of Pardons and Paroles. This is a preliminary hearing concerning William Gibson, 404-952. Today is Tuesday, January 7th, 2025. This hearing is being conducted via video at the Board of Pardons and Parole Central Office in Osborn Correctional Institution. Please state your full name and DOC inmate number for the record.
William Randall Gibson, 404-952, ma'am.
This is a public hearing. Public access to this hearing is available via video live stream. Present this morning is P.O. Schaeffer.
Good morning.
This is a preliminary hearing which has three purposes under Connecticut law: to determine if there is probable cause to believe you committed an act that violated the conditions of your parole, to determine if the act is sufficiently serious to warrant the revocation of your parole, and to determine if you should be held in prison pending further proceedings. The state, not you, has the responsibility to show that there is probable cause to believe you violated one or more of the conditions of your parole. If I do not find probable cause, I will reinstate your parole, which means releasing you and placing you back on parole supervision. If I find probable cause and determine that the act is sufficiently serious to warrant revocation, you may be held in prison pending further proceedings. Please note that you have been referred by the Department of Correction for diversion for substance abuse programming and treatment. If by the end of this hearing I determine that you should be held in prison pending further proceedings, I will provide additional information about the diversion process. You should know that a preliminary hearing is an adversarial proceeding. Anything you say at this hearing can be used against you. This hearing is being recorded. The testimony of today's hearing will be taken under oath. Mr. Gibson and P.O. Schaeffer, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or solemnly and sincerely affirm, as the case may be, that the evidence you shall give concerning this case shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God, or upon penalty of perjury?
Swear.
Yes.
Thank you. First, I will read you your rights. Then we will review the parole violation charges that the state your parole officer is bringing against you. Then I will review and identify exhibits filed for the record. Both you and the state will have an opportunity to address the issue of probable cause and the severity of the allegations. At the conclusion of this hearing, I will inform you of my findings, which will be based on the available evidence. Do you have any questions about the purpose or procedure before we begin? Thank you. You have important rights at this hearing, which I now will review with you. You have the right to be represented by an attorney. You may hire your own attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, you may qualify for an appointed attorney to represent you. Do you intend to seek counsel for this hearing or proceed without counsel?
Proceed without counsel.
You have the right to receive written notice of charges of violation. You have the right to review the evidence against you before this hearing. You have a right to submit evidence in support of your case. At this hearing, you have the right to call and examine voluntary witnesses and to cross-examine adverse witnesses. Do you understand these rights?
Yes, ma'am.
We now will review the charges that the state your parole officer is bringing against you and the information underlying each charge. P.O. Schaeffer, starting with charge 1, GPS.
You failed to abide by your GPS monitoring agreement. Condition number 4, I am responsible to ensure the GPS tracking device remains charged by connecting the charging cable to the tracking device and plugging the charging cable into an electrical outlet for at least 2 hours each day on the following days. On November 29th, 24, your GPS unit shut down from 2:05 a.m. to 3:44 a.m. because you failed to properly charge it. Your whereabouts were unknown during this time. On 12/3/24, your GPS unit shut down from 9:34 p.m. until December 4th, 2024, 8:02 a.m. because you failed to properly charge it. Your whereabouts were unknown during this time. On December 6th, 24, your GPS unit shut down from 11:59 p.m. until December 7th, 24 at 1:55 a.m. because you failed to properly charge it. Your whereabouts were unknown during this time. On December 14th, 24, your GPS unit shut down from 12:52 a.m. to 1:15 a.m. because you failed to properly charge it. Your whereabouts were unknown during this time.
Charge 2, drug testing.
On December 23rd, 24, you were instructed to render a supervised urine sample for drug testing. You attempted to provide a fake urine sample to Parole by having attached a device to your body and genital area that held the urine sample. You verbally admitted to using urine other than your own in this device and attempting to submit that sample.
Charge 3, drugs.
On October 31st, 24, you rendered a urine sample that returned positive for cocaine. You admitted to cocaine use and signed a voluntary admission. On November 27, 24, you rendered a urine sample that returned positive for cocaine. You denied use. Sample was sent to Premier Biotech and returned confirmed positive for cocaine from the lab. On December 13, 24, you rendered a urine sample that returned positive for cocaine and methamphetamine. You admitted to cocaine use and signed a voluntary admission, but denied methamphetamine use. Sample was sent to Premier Biotech and returned confirmed positive for cocaine, amphetamine, and methamphetamine from the lab. On December 23rd, 24, you admitted to cocaine use and signed a voluntary admission.
The state has filed the following exhibits, starting with Exhibit A. P.O. Schaeffer.
Exhibit A, remand to custody order. Exhibit B, parole conditions. Exhibit C, parole violation notice. Exhibit D, notice of parole violation. Exhibit E, Premier Biotech Lab final reports dated October 31st, 24, November 27, 24, and December 13, 24. Exhibit F, misconduct, November 26, 24, November 27, 24, and December 16, 24. Exhibit G, voluntary admission dated October 31st, 24, December 13th, 24, and December 23rd, 24. Exhibit H, attendee event history, and Exhibit I, GPS monitoring agreement.
Mr. Gibson, did you receive the notice of parole violation report, and the other documents that were just marked for identification purposes?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you review the information?
Yes, ma'am.
Today, we have no witnesses, and at this time, the state will have an opportunity to make a short statement and testify with respect to probable cause and the severity of the allegations. P.O. Schaeffer?
Mr. Gibson came under my supervision on October 31st from the halfway house. Immediately on that day, unfortunately, he was positive for cocaine and struggled to refrain from his cocaine use for the duration of the supervision with me. We tried to get him into outpatient treatment, but he had a difficult time getting that treatment lined up. And when he finally did, he did miss 3 sessions, I believe, indicating again that it's been difficult for him to remain free of substance use and also to get engaged with outpatient treatment in the community. Mr. Gibson was aware that I would be looking to make an inpatient referral on the day he did try to submit the fake urine sample. He initially denied having any contraband on his person, but ultimately admitted he did have the contraband on him and that contraband was found. As far as his GPS shutdowns, he did sign his GPS agreement. He does work, late into the evening, but he was well aware and instructed to make sure he charges his unit every day for 2 hours. And as you see by the amount of shutdowns, he failed to do that.
Thank you. Anything further?
No, thank you.
And Mr. Gibson, it is now your opportunity to respond to the parole violation charges against you. However, remember that you may remain silent if you choose to do so. Would you like to respond to the charges at this time?
I am not saying I'm not wrong. I am wrong. I did do what I said I did do, is on just one thing that on 12/19 for my group hearing, I had court in Hartford to finish up a case. I didn't intentionally miss my group because I didn't want to go. I had to be in Hartford that morning. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Nothing further? Okay, P.O. Schaeffer, anything further?
No, he did have court on that day on the 19th. However, it was still counted as an absence. So a total of 3 absences with his IOP outpatient.
Do you have any pending charges at this time?
No, he does not. That was all cleared.
So he did have court that morning, but it still counted as an absence?
Correct.
Mr. Gibson, anything further before I announce my findings?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. On charge 1, GPS, I make a finding of probable cause based on State's Exhibits B, C, F, H, and I. On charge 2, drug testing, I make a finding of probable cause based on State's Exhibits B and C. On charge 3, drugs, I make a finding of probable cause based on State's Exhibits B, C, E, F, and G. I find that the acts are serious enough to warrant revocation, and I have also determined that you should be detained while you wait for your revocation hearing. The Department of Correction has recommended you for a diversion from the revocation process for substance abuse programming and treatment. This means that if you wish to apply and participate, and I find that you meet certain eligibility criteria, I can continue your case while you are provided an opportunity to participate in substance abuse programs and treatment in a correctional facility. If you successfully complete the program and treatment provided, I will dismiss your case and order your parole reinstated. If you do not complete the program and treatment provided, the board will schedule you and convene a revocation hearing to determine if you violated the conditions of your parole. If so, hearing examiner will make a recommendation regarding whether your parole should be revoked and what, if any, sanctions should be imposed. The decision to participate in diversion is voluntary. Do you understand the diversion process, and do you wish to apply for diversion?
I understand.
I will now announce my findings with respect to your eligibility. If I determine that you are eligible, I can accept your application and divert you from revocation. I have reviewed all relevant information, and my findings are as follows. I find that you have no pending misdemeanor or felony charges. I find that your discharge date is more than 60 business days from the date of remand to actual custody. I find that there is evidence that you have identified substance abuse treatment needs. I find that substance abuse is reasonably considered to be a motivating factor in your alleged failure to comply with the terms and conditions of your parole. And I find that there is some evidence that you received or were provided with an opportunity to receive substance abuse programming or treatment during your period of parole supervision in the community. I have determined that you are eligible for diversion for substance abuse programming and treatment. Before I accept your application for diversion, I ask that you indicate whether you understand the following by answering yes or no. I understand that I will remain incarcerated while I receive programming and treatment, that parole revocation proceedings may be delayed as a result.
Yes, ma'am.
I understand that the dismissal of my case and reinstatement to active parole supervision is not guaranteed and is conditioned upon my successful completion of substance abuse programming and treatment.
Yes, ma'am.
I understand that ultimately the Department of Correction will determine whether I have successfully completed the substance abuse programming and treatment provided.
Yes, ma'am.
I understand that my participation in this process is completely voluntary.
Yes, ma'am.
Your application for diversion is granted. You will be placed in treatment or programming by the Department of Correction and diverted from revocation for no more than 60 business days. This does conclude your preliminary hearing.
Thank
So
you,
you're all
ma'am.
set. Thank you.
Thank you. I apologize for
Thank you.
Thank you, P.O. Schaeffer.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Ms. Schaeffer.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Ms. Schaeffer,
Yes.
is it possible that someone could pick up my property, Robert Anderson?
Robert Anderson. Okay,
He's supposed to be in your office today, in your building.
okay, he's coming to the parole office?
Yes, ma'am, this morning at some point.
Okay, I'll talk to my supervisor about that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thanks, bye-bye.
Have a good day.
You too.
You can go back. Good morning.
Good morning,
How do you pronounce your last name?
Roche.
Roche. Okay. Do you need an interpreter? I see that you were in Spanish speaking groups. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Okay.
Sometimes I need one, sometimes I don't, but I'm good now.
Okay, thank you. Give me 1 second.
All right, no problem.
Good morning. My name is Officer Saunders. I'm a hearing examiner for the Board of Pardons and Paroles. This is a preliminary hearing concerning Jose Roche, 420820. Today is Tuesday, January 7th, 2025. This hearing is being conducted via